How's it, everybody? Welcome back to another incredible session. It's been an amazing summit so far, and I really hope that you've enjoyed the learning and the incredible talks and discussions from our various thought leaders and innovators. We're going to dive deeper now into some exponential investing insights from Asia with a good friend of mine, Weiliang Chow, who is a partner at Cowen Capital Group. At Cowen Capital, he assumed responsibility as the lead executive partner in charge of international private equity business. He's also the managing partner for Cowen Capital Group's US dollar-denominated private equity funds. And prior to joining Cowen Capital Group, he was the Greater China Head of Private Equity for Singapore OCBC Bank, based out of Shanghai. He was also concurrently the Head of Global Investment Banking, China of OCBC Bank. Mr. Chow possesses over 20 years of private equity and investment banking experience in Asia, of which 16 years were spent in China. His investment experience spans over China, Vietnam, US, and Singapore. He also holds an executive MBA from China Europe International Business School, a postgraduate degree in finance and management from Manchester Business School, and a Bachelor of Engineering, first-class honors majoring in electrical and electronic engineering from the University of Surrey, UK. He has also attended senior executive development programs from Shanghai Jiatong University, Tsinghua University, Harvard Business School, INSEAD Business School, Hudon University, and Singularity University, where we actually met in 2015. Weiliang, great to have you at the summit.
Thank you.
And Weiliang, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and what are the latest developments in China?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Greeting from China. So I'm Weiliang, and I'm currently the general partner of Cowen Capital. And I've been in the private equity business for almost 23 years now, starting from Singapore and then later spending about 20 years in China. And it's been an exciting a journey in the last 20 years, witnessing the growth of China and witnessing the growth of the Chinese private equity and venture capital market. So Cowen Capital, a bit of a background, is one of the leading private equity firm in China. It was founded in 2000, and so it's been around for 21 years now. And it has, over the years, grown into one of the key investment firms in China, managing almost $4 billion in AUM, largely in RMB funds, as well as we do have US dollar funds under management, which I'm actually focusing most of my time on. And Cowen Capital has, over the last 20 years, been very much focusing on a few key areas of investments, particularly in the general technology area. We started very much earlier days focusing on advanced manufacturing, smart manufacturing investments, and later on moving into mobile internet, software, and a lot more other industries in the tech space, the deep tech space. I will elaborate more as we go along. And the other sector that we pay a lot of attention on is actually on the healthcare space, which is also been quite a popular investments sector in China. And to date, Cowen has invested in almost 600 companies in China. Most of them, as I said, in the technology and the healthcare space. And of the 600 companies, we have already more than 150 companies that has exited via different IPOs and as well as trade sale. So we do have about 100 companies now listed in various stock exchanges, including the Chinese stock exchanges, and as well as Hong Kong and the US stock exchange. So it's been great to be on this conference. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, it's such an exciting space. If you think about the last 10 to 20 years and this rapid increase of innovation and exponential technologies, and I mean, how's this happened in China? How's this growth actually happened over the last 20 years? I mean, you've been witness to it all, and it sounds so exciting. What insights can you give us from Asia?
Yeah. So as I said, I have the opportunity to witness the entire growth of China in the last 20 years. I remember I set foot in Shenzhen, which was my first city that I live in China. Now I'm actually living in Shanghai for the last 13 years now. And back then in year 2000, I think Shenzhen was one of the up and coming city where the government actually created Shenzhen and making Shenzhen a what we call economic zone for a lot of piloting and a lot of trying of new policies in China, essentially to open up the economy of China, to accept foreign investments and to take China forward. Using Shenzhen as one of the city to lead in a lot of ways, and special policies was being given to Shenzhen because Shenzhen was designated as the special economic zone, and there was also the very early stage of tech companies that was in China, right? And in fact, venture capital in China started in Shenzhen, and then that's where Kerwin Capital was founded back in year 2000. And the growth of this whole market was really, I think, essentially because China has grown so much, right? In year 2000, I remember China was still, the per capita GDP was still below $3,000 US dollar. I think I remember it's something like $2,800 back in year 2000.
Wow.
And now it has grown about 10 times over the last 20 years, right? So currently, if you look at the GDP of China in year 2020, is currently a $14.7 trillion US economy, right? And it has the per capita GDP is about is over $10,000 US, right? Versus less than 3,000 about 20 years ago. So I think essentially the growth of the China market. And with the growth of the China market, there obviously, it brought millions and millions of people in China out of poverty, and a lot of people were moving to bigger cities, urbanization taking place. Cities like Shenzhen, right? If you were to have been to Shenzhen 20 years ago, it's a different Shenzhen, right? It's a different Shenzhen. The current Shenzhen is just an amazing. A big city, and as I saw that because I was in Shenzhen in year 2000, having to move myself from Singapore to China for the first time to overseas in a new country, and having to look for a place to stay, and things like that. You really see the amazing growth of the market, and Shenzhen is a very, very unique and very, very typical example of how China has grown so much. And along with the companies, along with the growth, I think it started with obviously foreign direct investments, right? China, as I said, using Shenzhen as a pilot city to open up to the world, and a lot of investments start to come in, from all over the world, including the US. And the Europe and other Asia's country, and more companies to set up, and that leads to also the development of the SME cluster in China, right? The small medium enterprise industry in China, which today is a huge industry, right? And that's
Really?
where venture capital like us, partner with. We partner with small and medium enterprise in China. To assist them in the growth, right, in China. And today you start to see a lot of fairly large companies emerging, from the development of the last 20 years. And
Amazing.
I think along with that, the venture capital industry has grown so much. And I was looking at the data before this conference, and in year 2000, in year 2020. 2020, the China VC market has grown into just year 2020 alone, almost $1.2 trillion RMB, or about 200 billion US was raised for the private equity and venture capital industry, just alone in year 2020.
Wow.
And the whole industry currently has grown to a very big market now. Even while I was looking at the 2021 first 6 months number, the pace has not dropped, and despite what we are facing, global crisis in terms of COVID. In fact, year 2021, the equivalent amount was actually raised in China, right? There were about $70 billion of funds raised for private equity and venture capital, and there were about 2,000 new funds that were formed in 2021 first half alone. Right? And so
let me just stop you there. You're saying 2,000 new funds were formed in 2021 alone.
Yeah. In 2021, alone. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, yeah. So for a firm like Cowen Capital, we probably is one of the key contributor to that. And as we probably have launched about more than 5 funds in the first half of 2021, and that funds goes into specific sectors, into specific stages of the investments. Like we do have dedicated funds for healthcare, and we have dedicated fund for the semiconductor industry, and that's where we go specialize into area. And we do have funds that we set up for very early stage investments, like we have just formed a angel funds together with the Shenzhen government, where we form a partnership to launch a fund that just focus on very early stage investments. So I think the VC industry has grown a lot, and that also, of course, as a venture capital investors, we invest, we raise a lot of capital, we make the capital work in the ventures that we partner with. But at the end of the day, we need a healthy exit strategy for our investments. So I think the other development in China was really the rapid development of the capital market, right? The capital market in China. So today, today China has developed a multi-tier capital market consisting of about 5 different stock exchanges in China, right? And right from you have the main board in Shanghai Stock Exchanges. We have a small medium enterprise board in China, which is launched in the year 2004, and then later on a Chinex board, which is actually a board that is somewhat nearer to a NASDAQ board, that they focus on ventures, high growth ventures, and that was launched in 2009. And then fast forward to now, in 2019, we added a new board called the Star Market, and that is a second board of the Shanghai Stock Exchange. And as recent as last month, a new stock exchange has been announced by President Xi, where Beijing Stock Exchange will officially form. Right, so we have Shenzhen Stock Exchanges, we have Shanghai Stock Exchange, and we are going to have a Beijing Stock Exchange, which is officially announced by President Xi last month, right? And that will likely be coming on board towards early part of next year, where even smaller companies will be able to list on the Beijing Stock Exchanges. So in future, you see a multi-tier kind of capital market where you have a stock market that is suitable for different stages of the companies. For small companies, you could go to Beijing Stock Exchanges. For slightly larger companies, Shenzhen, you have the SME board, the Chinex board, and even larger companies, you can then attempt to go for a main board in Shanghai. And it's also, what is more interesting is that with the advent of the Star Market in 2019, for the very first time, a unprofitable, high growth, high tech companies can now find themselves listed on a stock exchange in China. And it was not possible in the past because a listing on the stock exchange in China yeah.
I feel like China's on this innovation roller coaster. It's on this downhill. It's going so fast, and the pace is just going faster and faster, and it's just exploding this ecosystem of innovation. And I just want to touch on, you gave such great insights there. There's so many things to talk about. Just going all the way back to Shenzhen, and the start of this innovation started all in Shenzhen. And I think it was visionary of the president to sort of create a test bed, create a pilot city to see if innovation could work in that pilot city. And it was government regulation that actually enabled this innovation and the start of this wave of this new technological drive within China, which I think is, so important for us in Africa to think about how do we improve government policies to enable investment into Africa in a much easier and more frictionless way.
Yeah.
So,
and to add on,
out of China over the last 20 years, what are some of the large tech companies?
Yeah, so I think over the last 20 years, you'll start to see a lot of big companies that emerge, right? Actually, particularly from the technology space, right? So I think that there are quite a lot to name. But I think there are a few that probably a lot of people will be more familiar with, right? And so you start with obviously everyone knows the very first group of companies that listed in the US, which is actually the Web 1.0 days, where the first generation of internet was we have three companies from China. One is Soho, one is NetEase, and one is Sina, SINA. So those three companies was listed in year 2000 in the US. It was the first generation of internet companies, and these companies are still surviving very well till today, right? In fact, if you look at the market cap of NetEase and also the market cap of Sina that has spin off a company called Xinglang Weibo, they're all in the in fact NetEase was in the tens of billions of dollars in terms of market cap. In fact, at one time it was even higher. So this was earlier, the first batch of first generation internet technology company. But I think what is more familiar with a lot of us is the companies that emerged after in the late 2000, in 2010, or the late 2000, I would say, then we have the BAT, right? The Baidu, the Alibaba, and the Tencent. So these are three very reputable and I think familiar names that represent the tech sector in China. But BAT has been around for some time. There are even more promising and larger companies that have come, over the last 20 years. You start to see obviously complete like Meituan, right? Meituan is now listed in Hong Kong. If I remember correctly, is almost $100 billion US company as well now listed in Hong Kong, and
Wow.
and Pinduoduo, PDD, which is listed in the US, and they were founded, and when they got listed, it was only 4 years old, right? When they got listed in the US, and now they are actually also $100 billion US companies in this space. And you have obviously also a private company that has not been listed, but it has a very, very high valuation as well, which is a company called ByteDance. And ByteDance has a product or a company that is doing they are known as TikTok, right, in the overseas market. And so ByteDance is the holding company, and the valuations of this company has also reached amazing, over $400 billion US as a private company. He has not gone listed.
2 years? How long?
But
in 2 years or 3 years?
In about 7. No. I mean, ByteDance has been around for about 8 years or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, so these are the usual, the tech companies. And obviously, we have JD, right? I guess we probably know about JD. JD started as an e-commerce site, an e-commerce company in China, and now they have developed themselves into a humongous company with JD Logistics. Logistics. They have a listed company now in the form of JD Logistics. And they have JD Healthcare, so they are starting to go into different verticals, and every verticals they have a very big company by itself, right? So that's the development of JD, right? JD is obviously listed in the US as well, and then in other space like healthcare, for example, amazing healthcare. You have a company called Wuxi Pharmatech, which is used to be listed in the US and then delisted from the US, and now they're back in China, listed in China, and then they have spun off another subsidiary to list in Hong Kong called Wuxi Biologics, and they are now one of the leading companies in the healthcare space. starting with a lot of with services in the what we call the preclinical or the clinical CRO, CDMO space, and then now obviously they are much bigger company now. So WuXi Pharmatech in the representing the healthcare space, it's like the manufacturing companies for Apple, for example. Apple uses a manufacturing company to manufacture the iPhone. They are the manufacturing company for all the healthcare and the pharmaceutical company. So it has grown to be a very big company, and there are many more. Like obviously the space of the electric car, right? The new renewable energy cars. You start to see promising companies coming up from China. Given and then we already see 3 listed companies now in US by the name of NIO, Xiaopeng, and Li Auto. Right, and the list goes on and on. Right, there are companies that are in the battery space. CATL is a very large company now listed in China, and they are focusing very much on the battery technology of the future renewable energy cars. Right, and even the consumer space, you start to see a company called Nongfu Sanquan that is producing drinks for our daily drink, our mineral waters from that is now they are now listed in Hong Kong as well. So these are some of the examples. The list goes on, but we're seeing more and more companies now in the scales of tens of billions and even hundreds of $billion market cap company emerging from China, right? So and that's what's exciting about doing venture capital in China, right? And to be able to witness and even to work with some of this company in the early stage of their development. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, so you mentioned also biotech and healthcare is quite a growing sector. What have you seen in this space? What is Cowen Capital doing specifically in this space, in the biotech and healthcare space?
Yeah, so biotech companies, biotech industries is obviously a very promising investments sector in China, and over the last 2-3 years, it has emerged as one of the key areas or a sectors that have received the most venture capital investments. At Cowen Capital, we actually focus on healthcare as one of our key pillars of investments, and today we have built up a portfolio of almost 150 companies in the healthcare space. About 20 odd companies has already listed in Hong Kong and China, and it's a space that is emerging. I would say it's emerging, and the key drivers is obviously in China. Obviously, is the aging populations, and China has 1.4 billion people, and but it's a fast aging population, and the demand for better medical services, the demand for better medical devices and drugs is a huge market, right? And initially the market was very much, obviously dominated by the foreign companies, right? Particularly in the drugs and the devices space. And over the last, I would say 5 to 10 years, we will start to see China focusing on development of their own capability in this space. And particularly in the pharmaceutical space, in the drug development space, we are seeing a lot more innovative drug development companies that are formed with one goal in mind, to basically build the best of class and first of class drugs in that is serving the world, right? I mean, obviously China is one of the key markets, but this is an area that we actually focus a lot on. And so the drug space is getting interesting, and also the medtech space, right? The medical device space. Today we don't have a lot of medical device company to talk about in China. Obviously, probably people will know about this company called Myray, which is one of the largest medical device company in China, and is one of the partner of Cowen Capital as well. But we are starting to see a lot more medical devices company created in China, with one purpose, just to bring to the market more sophisticated and more better devices that help with better diagnostic, better therapeutic services, and also I think with the capability of the Chinese company building up, we are starting to see a lot of investment teams that are focusing on what we call import replacement, right? So in the past, obviously, I mean, in the world, we have three very large companies in the medical device space. We call it the GE, right, and the Philips and Siemens, the GPS. But we are seeing a lot more import replacement story, right, where we see capable companies in China that has actually developed and been able to produce equipments of equal quality, if not better, to serve the market. And one of the companies that we got involved in was a company called United Imaging, which is now one of the leading medical devices company in China. So, and obviously the services as well, right? The medical services, which is very unique to the Chinese market. And that itself is also developing. And today, obviously, you can walk down the street and go in the clinic. You can get your gene sequence as well. If you want to have, you can have your gene sequence at a very, very affordable price.
Down the street.
Yeah, affordable price. And those are coming, right? Obviously, so the beauty aesthetic industry is also developing very well in China. So I think the whole entire market, yeah.
So let me ask you, as Cowen Capital, what are some of the things that you look at when you're trying to invest in a new technology company? What are some of the things that you help you make the decision? And are you using any technologies within your business? Are you using artificial intelligence to help you in your business? Are you using automation or platforms or big data currently to help you in making decisions? And then we're going to wrap up with this question.
Yes. Well, I guess we actually look at, because we look at investments across different stages. So I think at different stages of the investments, you do look at different factors. But I think the key factors will be obviously, first is the market that the companies is trying to address, and the product they're trying to, or the problem they're trying to solve in the market. And so we first look at the needs from a market viewpoints, right? And that has to be compelling, and the market has to be sizable and to allow the scalability of the company, right? And then obviously the people that are behind the business, right? The people that are executing the business and doing the business, do they have the right capability and competence to drive the business? Given that they are doing something in a very big market and something that is in needs in the market. So I think these are the two key ones. But at different stage, we will make certain different consideration, including whether the valuations is compelling, right? So in China, because as I mentioned just now, there are a lot of capital that is in the market. So you are starting to see a lot of businesses being growing very fast and taking on venture capital investments, but the valuations has gone to a stage where it became rather high, right? So whether it makes sense, and you start to see probably investments that were made in a later stage of the company's life cycles, and if you were to invest in a company at a very high valuation, whether you are still able to make the kind of returns from the investments. That is something that is something that we need to consider because the market is just it's just too hot, right? And the market cap has a capitalization of
too much going on.
The valuation of the company has gone up quite a lot. I mean, if I were to compare back to 20 years ago, it's like nobody is doing venture capital, and it's a really different market now, right? So I think those are still the consideration. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think that has been an amazing session. We've unfortunately run out of time, but we really appreciate and value your insights. And we hope to see you in South Africa when we can travel again in the future.
Thank you very much, Mick. I look forward to be able to see you in person. Maybe I will travel to Africa one day. When this the situations get better. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
Thank you.